going to start off this week's Lawmakers interviews with Senate Majority Whip Cristina Castro from Elgin. She's a veteran of the Illinois Senate since 2017. She also chairs the Senate Executive Committee. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Let's take a stock of where things are right now. It's barely a week to go in the scheduled legislative session to the 24th. What are Senate Democrats in your caucus hearing about the budget negotiations behind the scenes?
I think actually the budget negotiations are going quite well. Right now, individual caucuses are getting kind of a preview of, kind of like a high-level preview of where things stand, right? Obviously, every member has its needs, right? And so I think those conversations are ongoing. Actually, there's some of those conversations happening today. It's a tight budget, right? We've had budgets that have been a little bit more plentiful. This one is going to be a little tighter, and so we are looking at ways. Obviously, the governor had his introduced budget. We're looking at that, as well as looking at, as I said on the Appropriate Committee, we were interviewing and meeting with different departments and talking about their asks. Also questioning some things where we felt there were some shortfalls to see how they plan to address them. Then we'll take those conversations and then we'll start molding that budget, which is some of the things that are happening right now.
Has there been any movement on some of the revenue enhancements, the tax code changes that the governor wants to actually help fund this budget?
I think everything's fluid right now, and I think a lot of those conversations are ongoing. I have one bill that also adds some revenue, and it's called, what we call re-renters, so that way we generate about, in some states it generates as much as like $90 million. I think we were kind of conservative on that, so we said about, I think, between 30 and 50. So I believe that'll be part of the revenue package. It's something that's been worked out between the different stakeholders, but it just captures some of that revenue. And I did a lot with marketplace fairness, right? Making sure that when you ordered online, there was fair share, because when you look at equity, you have box stores that employ people, local, generate money for the local economy. This is kind of a loophole that's in there, and I help close that loophole. And I know the governor also has closing some of the corporate tax loopholes and some of those things. And I think a lot of those proposals are very good.
The governor has $182 million in his budget proposal to help Latin American migrants who have been shipped to Chicago to live from places like Texas. We spent pretty much all of last year talking about that. Is this funding pretty safe? Is it assured? Or?
I think it is agreement that the governor struck with Cook County and the city of Chicago. I feel pretty confident it's going to remain in there. Look, we can't have people out in the streets. We also want to transition those folks. They want to have dignity. Many of them, we have actually quite a large population on the, I say the Fred Crespo side of the district. We have an influx of Venezuelan migrants who have family who have moved into that part of my district. And we have worked as well as with the local welcoming centers to make sure they have the resources they need. They're able to apply for TPS, because we have businesses that want to employ them. I have many local businesses that are like, Senator, how can we help? How can we get in touch with some of these folks? Because we have needs, we have jobs and they're desperate for it. So I think there's that opportunity for us to continue to help and to get them acclimated into the state.
I know that one of the big issues you've been working on this year is the Dignity in Pay Act, and this deals with the sub-minimum wage that a lot of people with disabilities have been earning going back, to like the late 1930s, and you're trying to move that back up over a period of time so that they'll be getting at least minimum wage.
Yeah, so that's a little personal for me. And my late mother had a friend whose daughter was disabled, and she actually worked for one of these facilities, and she would come home after 2 weeks after working 8 hours assembling something, whatever product they had brought into the shop, and she would come home with a 50-cent check. And I mean, it's just deplorable to me. She would complain about, hey, they would, my daughter is doing all this arduous labor. I'd like to see her get paid for it properly, like a normal person. And so one of the things that when this bill, Representative Teresa Ma and I had this bill in 2018, and we began conversations. But we've noticed other states have begun to phase this out. This is a 5-year phase out. I understand the Department of Human Services and the different groups are still negotiating. I got an update yesterday that they're trying to strike a deal on a few other things, but we're working on that.
Well, we hope to find out more about that in the next few days. Senator Castro, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.